Entrepreneurship, it's all game. The Big Potato Podcast is yours to claim. From startups to scaling up, we cover it all. So don't mess up. Monday nights, don't miss the show with Kendell and Stuart. Your time to grow, listen up, take notes and learn. The Big Potato Podcast, next gen's
Welcome
turn.
back to the Big Potato Podcast, where we empower entrepreneurs for today's business landscape. Light-hearted discussion, delivering strategic business insights. We had so many industries already: entertainment, music, sport, agriculture, outdoor recreation. We even reached to talking about food and culinary arts in the last episode. Yep. Tonight, it's all about episode number 12. Stuart, welcome, buddy.
Boy, number 12.
Big number.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we make some announcements as to what that number 12 means. You know, we'll make some announcements about that later. But I am relaxed. Today was a holiday here in Trinidad. You know, Euro started, so football going on. Basketball just finished. So a lot of things going on. Get a chance to relax. Ready for the episode. Excited to talk to Avalon. I think it's an interesting topic we going to discuss here tonight. A very pertinent and important one as well.
Definitely so. I mean, we're talking about different industries, businesses, products, services over the last 11 episodes. And now in episode number 12, it's time to talk a little bit about branding. It's time to talk about how you get that message out about yourself, your products, your services, and what you have to offer. So tonight, that's what we're going to be talking about. And as Stuart already let out of the bag, our special guest tonight, Miss Avalon Gomez. Let me just give you all a little breakdown of Avo's bio before she says hello. She's a change agent dedicated to innovation and community empowerment, renowned as a brand marketer, entrepreneur, and influential voice in women's empowerment. Over 12 years experience in marketing and entertainment. I could attest to that. I've known her for that time in the entertainment industry especially. And she has just expanded and grown. And she has become one of Trinidad and Tobago's leading brand managers, leading promoters. And she specializes in event and brand management. She's worked with clients like the US Embassy, Frontline Ticketing, international clients as well, even Nadia Batson, the University of the West Indies. So we're going to hear about all these collaborations. She's deeply passionate about fostering culture, empowering youth and women in particular. And she's been a global young leader, a under 40 influencer, and has featured many times in the press. So let me, without further ado, welcome Avalon Gomez to the Big Potato Podcast. Avalon, what's up?
Hi guys. Thank you. Very nice introduction. Y'all make me sound like a big boy, a big girl. Very nice introduction. I'm really happy and excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are excited to have you here as well. I know we've been talking for a bit about having you on, so we're very happy to have you on in episode 12, which is a monumental episode. And on that note, that's how we jump into our first segment tonight. It's called What Caught Our Eye. So for those of y'all who may be unfamiliar with What Caught Our Eye, it's simple. Quick, key entrepreneurial insights. And we have a very, very, I would like to say, innovative entrepreneur on the line with us tonight in Avalon. So I'll be interested to hear a feedback on these articles that we came across and these stories. So I'll go first. What caught my eye this week is in terms of personal branding and why it matters. Actually, that was the name of the article, Personal Branding and Why It Matters. Written by Catherine Coate. It was on the Harvard Business site in March 2024. Now, let me give you a quick synopsis of this article. It said, just like products and services, must be branded to communicate their differentiators to attract customers. You can too with your personal branding. Now, personal branding is an intentional, strategic practice of defining and expressing your value. Personal branding's goal is to ensure the narrative about you is accurate. It's coherent, meaning that it makes sense. It's compelling, so that it draws people in. And it's differentiating, so that it can demonstrate what makes you unique. Now, you could choose not to focus on your personal branding, but if you don't, then what could happen is other people's assumptions and perceptions of you, which may not align with the 4 attributes that we mentioned just now, may take precedence in terms of how people view you. If you do take your personal branding seriously, though, you become known for the attributes and build your reputations and opportunities and networks. So it gave us a few tips in terms of how to build our personal brand. 1, it said define your purpose. You know what you stand for, your values, what you care about, what makes you special. It also spoke about auditing your personal brand equity right now. So what credential do you have? What social capital do you have? Who do you know? Who knows you? Right? And what cultural capital do you have? 3rd one, it said construct your narrative. Right? So basically, as I said before, don't let the perceptions and the assumptions of others be what governs your life and your persona. You can construct your own narrative. And when you do construct your narrative about yourself and your personal brand, you need to communicate that brand and embody that brand. You need to live it. You need to socialize your brand, be in the right rooms, in the right spaces. And in the end, you need to also reevaluate and see if it's working for you to achieve your ultimate goals. Now, Avalon, I know you would know a lot about this topic more than me. In terms of any feedback on that story for entrepreneurs out there, because we know a lot of people focus on simply building their brands for their products or their services, their businesses, but sometimes forget about themselves.
I think that personal branding is very important, especially in today's world and in the age we are today, right? Because we can't just have logos in front of everybody's face. People really want to connect with other people, and that's what makes it so important. People are no longer just buying products and services, Viki. You understand? They want to be able to connect with somebody that they trust and from somebody that they trust. And that is the importance of personal branding. Even back then, you would have mentioned in the introduction that you know me from way back, right? Probably more than 10 years, 12 years. And back then, we didn't even know what personal branding was. But that is what I was doing. All that time in different facets of my life, what I was doing is building the brand that is Avalon Gomez. So as I pivot throughout life, I was always still Avalon Gomez. And I was able to take that with me in the different tiers of my life. And that is something that personal branding allows you to do. It doesn't matter if you decide to start a new business every month. People support you, right? And personal branding also really helps with confidence too. So I think if more entrepreneurs, try to really build their personal brand, what are their values? What are they passionate about, and align it somewhat with their services and their products, then they can connect with their customers more and sell more.
Agreed. Stuart, any feedback on that, bro?
No, great stuff. I appreciate everything you said. I agreed with everything you said. I agreed with everything Avalon said. The only thing I could add is that people need to understand with personal branding is individuals who really have the power to form true connections. And, it's really people who make up the nodes. So you can't say, I want my company to partner with XYZ Limited and call and ask to speak to XYZ Limited. There's someone inside of there you have to speak with. So it's people, it's the individuals who really have that power to, as I said, form true connections. It's the individuals also who have the greatest opportunity to influence. And if you really want to influence and you want to do big things, you need to own your voice. You need to offer expertise and insights that only you have. And I think that all ties into the personal branding. For instance, if you think about Apple, you'll think about Steve Jobs, the personal brand. If you think about, let's test here, Tesla. Who are you thinking about, Kendell?
One time, Mr.
Elon Musk. That personal brand, your company will have its own brand, but that personal brand is very important. And as I said, it's people making deals with people. It's not Tesla calling up IBM and calling up this one. No. It's people dealing with people. So your personal brand is essential.
I think that's excellent, Stuart, and it aligns with what Avalon said, because as she mentioned, people would buy from you. They would support you. Mm-hmm. They would assist you, even in those collaborations and those relationships. And Avalon, you could probably jump in here again in terms of some of your collaborations with clients. How has personal branding helped in that aspect? I know we kind of getting a little deep into it here, but before
I love it. I think it's a very important topic. So I think it's a very important topic because even as Stuart mentioned, he mentioned the word influence, right? And I feel like sometimes we use this word sometimes in the wrong context, right? People think that you have to be an influencer to influence, but really and truly, we all have influence. Stuart just said it. That is, every staff at every company will influence a buyer or any customer.
That's right.
We all have some type of influence. We don't have to be an influencer to be influential and influence, the buying power of somebody else. And that is where personal branding comes in, right? When you walk into an establishment, the first person you meet, whether it be the security or the front desk staff, you might go into that establishment all the time because you love meeting that person. They're pleasant. Yeah. They always have a smile on their face. They always crack a joke. You could probably call on the phone, but you like going there to meet this person and connect with this person, because personal branding is really all about connection, collaboration, and that kind of thing. Personal branding has helped me a lot with most of my collaborations, because when I work with people, they are able to now tell others about me and what I do. Now, if I didn't build a strong personal brand for myself, I don't think that would have happened. I don't think that would have happened. I would not have been able to connect with so much people in the way that I do, because I think that personal branding is also, again, about your values and your morals.
Yep.
We don't do the things the same. We might do the same things, but we don't do it the same way. And people will come to you for the way you do things. People will come to you for your insights, your point of view. I think that's very important for us to understand.
Agreed.
We're sleeping on that.
Well said. Fantastic. So guys, personal branding and build that brand equity. It will help you to get more referrals for sure. Stuart, what caught your eye this week, bro?
Well, what caught my eye was an article called The Present and Future of Personal Branding for Entrepreneurs by Vikas Agrawal. If I butcher the name, I'm sorry. But it's from Forbes Communication Council of December 2023. And there's a couple of things in it that really, I think entrepreneurs need to think about. Firstly, I'll give you a stat. In 2022, 5 million new businesses were established in America. And that's just America. So by extension, millions of businesses being born every year. By extension, many people trying to create their own personal brand online. So the question is, how are you going to differentiate? Because with all of these people trying to create their personal brand and, elevate their status and elevate the way they position themselves and how people view them, you have to understand that you competing as well, especially online. That's where everything pumping right now. So that is just something that I think everyone needs to consider. And the article went on to talk about some of the trends that the young entrepreneurs could benefit from. So one is the rise in authenticity. Avalon mentioned it earlier, so I'm not going to go too deeply into any of these things. So one is the rise of authenticity. Number 2, emphasis on quality. When I say quality, they want highly informative, practical, and useful information. Also, on the rise, collaboration and networking with other entrepreneurs and influencers. And not just influencers, influential people, as Avalon rightly said. Also, video is the dominant form of content, so that's not going to change. Make use of it. And then personalization. This is crucial for the differentiation. Personalization of that interaction with your audience. Yeah, that is where you can really separate yourself. Embracing social justice and sustainability, that's another thing that entrepreneurs could throw in the back pocket. They could always align themselves. Hopefully they really believe in it. And it's not just for points, but it's something they really believe in. But that is something that is on the rise and is a good way to position your brand as well. That, you care about the larger picture. Commitment to making a positive impact on the world, all that kind of stuff. And also adapting to new technologies and platforms. You have to stay up to date. For instance, the AI, and then, the different platforms. As Andrew Chukwan was saying, every month is a new platform.
Every month is a new one.
He didn't want to come on TikTok because it's a whole new one I have to learn. But yeah, you have to learn and you have to understand how it operates and, compete on those platforms as well. And then lastly, you have to try and position yourself as a source of fresh and interesting news at all time. We live in an information age where people thirst for relevant and up-to-date information. So those are just some of the trends that I think those who have ears to hear will be able to pick up on some of the insights and adjust their strategies moving forward. Any thoughts on that, Kendell?
Yeah, the one that struck out for me the most is the AI point. And I'll tell you why. And I want to hear Avalon's view on this as well before we jump out of this segment. AI is playing a pivotal role, as we know, in every single industry, in everybody's life, as a matter of fact. Right? In personal branding, one of the things that I noticed is that AI aggregators, they could pull together everything about you, from your posts on the social media platforms to different things that you may have posted on the internet, wherever they could scrape things from. And they could actually, I should say, form a personal brand for you if you're not careful. So you might have certain values and you may have a certain standard that you have for yourself, or you have a certain way that you would like people to perceive you. But authenticity, we're coming back to that, and alignment. If what you post and what you say in certain circumstances and circles is not aligned or authentic to the brand that you are trying to create, it's very possible that soon, if it's not happening already, AI could just create that personal brand for you and give a complete misconception or perception to others about you, which in the end could affect your relationships, your networking ability, and even opportunities that you may be open to. Now, I'm saying that, and I don't want it to be taken in a negative light, because the AI could also help you to build and promote your brand equity and your personal brand. So I don't want to just leave it as if it's a negative thing or a bad thing that is happening, because I see plenty good coming out of it as well. Avalon, any thoughts on what Stuart mentioned?
Yeah, the AI thing stood out to me also because this AI thing is crazy, guys. No, it
mad.
Because it could be one of the best tools that we have right now, but it could also be so dangerous also, right? And what tell persons though, it's okay to use it. It's okay to use AI, but not to just copy what AI tells you or give you, because we have to still remember that this is not fully real, right? And Like now, even on like LinkedIn and things, I would know when somebody wrote their caption from ChatGPT.
Oh yeah.
Evident, because they also not add adding their personal touch. So if AI builds a persona for you or on your behalf, like you ask AI, hey, I'm in this and this industry, right? What should my personal brand look like? AI would give you an outline, definitely.
Mhm.
But if that does not actually represent you, then you'll get lost. In this rat race now, trying to just do what AI told you. But there are people who know you in real life, or struggle actually executing what AI told you. So I always tell
Yep.
people, like, we have the tool, use it as a guide. But sure, the good part about personal branding, and I think the most important part about personal branding, is it have to be personal. It
That's
has
correct.
to be you. So we have to still attach a little Avalon, a little Kendell, a little Stuart, even if we might get the little tips or the little prompts from AI or wherever, a coach, AI, anything, still adding that personal touch. Change it up a little bit, because yeah, it could become a little dangerous.
For sure.
And you have to proofread and make sure all the facts that the AI giving you fully accurate, because
Yeah, because you know AI thrilled about everything, Stuart.
I'm thrilled. Thrilled to annoy it.
ChatGPT is thrilled about everything. Everything you ask them, I'm thrilled to announce, and I'm thrilled, and I'm thrilled.
Proofread, folks. And change it up. Make sure and put it in your personalize, as Stuart said, customize it. Make sure it sounds like you, as Avalon said as well. Remember, this is your personal brand you're building. Don't catfish people out there, please. And that's a good note to wrap up this segment. What Caught Our Eye, brought to you by IBOMAQ. And remember, the special is still on. Touch base with us at the Big Potato Podcast at gmail.com. If you have a business or a business idea that you would like to get 1 hour free consultation, mentorship, or coaching, just link us and we'll take care of you. We'll be right back. Do you have a business idea or looking to innovate your existing business? Get a free one-on-one 1 hour consultation with the Big Potato Podcast team. We'll help you assess your business potential and maximize its value. Whether it's mentorship, coaching, or consulting, we've got you covered. Don't miss out. Check out our social media for details. Presented by IBOMAQ Consulting. And we're back on the Big Potato Podcast, episode number 12. Just in case you didn't, remember to go subscribe to the Big Potato Podcast on Spotify, YouTube. Follow, like, share all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Share your favorite shorts and episodes. We've touched so many industries. Something must be pertinent to you, a family member or a friend that needs the information. And feel free to give us your feedback as well at the Big Potato Podcast at gmail.com. If you would like to be featured or you have any questions that you would like us to address, yeah man, just link up. We'll be happy to do so. But we're here tonight with Avalon Gomez. Yep. Avalon. As I said, someone I've known for a very long time, and I'm very proud to say that she is a friend. She is someone that I know, and seeing all the great stuff that she's doing. And I'm happy because we're going to talk now about her journey to get to where she is today in terms of Avelle, brand management, and all the other ventures that she's involved in. So Avalon, tell us, how did your entrepreneurial journey start to this point today?
I don't think people believe every time I say this, and for some reason, it's more than likely the first question I get asked in every interview, right? But I was actually a corporate girl, a corporate finance girl. Like nobody believes that because everybody knew me from throwing party. So I was corporate finance and went to being a promoter, something I part of my life that I own boldly. I was a promoter, a female promoter. And one day I just had to really ask myself, like, okay, think about it. what do you want your legacy to be? Like, what do you want to be known for? Like, it's fun now, yes, right? But what do you really want to be known for? And back in that time, being a female promoter, Kendall, it didn't really have much support. Like, yeah, people see it as I was popular, but it didn't have support to build anything outside of that. Even building things in that space, it was always like, this is like a man's world, right? This is a very male dominated space. And here you are just trying to own things and trying to, just walk all around like you run things here. And it was very difficult navigating sometimes. Even when I started a business while being a promoter, the support wasn't there because girls just saw me as like a threat. Like there were some girls that was like, yeah, Avo, hugs, etc. But then there were others like, okay, she feels she in time. When I really humble. So I never had that support. So I had to really think to myself, like, Avalon, what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want that people say, well, yeah, she was a boat ride girl, or she just throwing party and, on the harbor master or whatever? Or do you want it to be something else? So I decided to pivot and find a way to use my same skills and do things I enjoy, but in a way where I could really build a life for myself, for my son, and help other people along the way. Because when you look at branding and building brands, it's the same thing we did if we throw a party, right? We come up with this concept, we come up with the idea, we market it, and we build this product that people come out and enjoy over and over. So I wanted to do that same thing, but in a different way. And that's why and how I started Avelle. Empower came about almost around the same time because I realized that in the entrepreneurial life and on your entrepreneurial journey, there is really no community. Well, back then. Now, thank God, community is a big watchword, and it's one of those words that are being thrown around, and there are a lot of communities now. But in 2014, 2015, community was not a buzzword, and you had to figure things out yourself. And I created Empower so that other female entrepreneurs wouldn't have to figure it out themselves like I had to. Like they would always have that support. Like they can always ask a question, be paired with a mentor, and just be helped along the entrepreneurial journey. So that's basically why and how I got started.
Fantastic. I mean, what a story. And before I let Stuart jump in, if I could ask about that moment in life, because you spoke about legacy and leaving an impact and so on. But Stuart, yet another financial sector.
Yeah, another banker.
Right?
Another banker.
Jump into the life of entrepreneurship. Something about that industry, right? Just keep producing us.
Well, it's something about the industry that bright minds keep leaving.
Hey, I'm telling you, depending on which way you decide to look at it.
Yeah, you look at it both ways.
But yeah, Avalon, the question really is, at which point in time through your corporate life, you decided, boy, I need to just do this for myself and not for the shareholders of this company or for that company. I need to, and I know most times, based on what you said especially, it may start off like something on the side that you may doing it while you're working in corporate still, and then fully branch out. So what was that process and what was that mindset behind really telling yourself, all right, firstly, I want to start doing something for myself, maybe while I'm still working here, but then full-fledged jumping into that pool?
I think was when I realized that my superpower was people and being connected with people. Because while being in the industry, right, like most of the customers who come in to just bank, they would wait for me. Normally when you go to a bank or a financial institution, you want to get in and out quickly, right? And customers would wait for me. And they would come on holidays, lunchtime, I'm getting lunch, I'm getting presents. And I was like, well, wait. Like people must really like me. So is there something that I'm doing right? And I think what really broke it for me was when I had my son. So I had my son, and I was one of those persons within the sector that my organization would use to go to every branch when they're opening a new branch, because I was head of customer service. So every time a new branch is being opened, I will go to the branch, right? To greet with customers, to train whatever new staff, etc. And then after having my son, when he was small, he had asthma. So after a period of time, I wanted some extended leave to stay home with my son.
Right.
And well, I don't know. I don't know if it was postpartum depression or whatever they will call it. But when they told me no, I felt like if that was it, because I committed years, right, to building something for you all. And you can't just give me extra time. And I'm talking about it have years. I didn't even take vacation because I don't want to leave my customers. I have fun. I love work. I love it here. And I didn't take vacation. And now I'm just asking for an extra 3 weeks to be home with my son because, he has asthma and I want to see him breathe. I just want to see his chest move. And you told me no. So I resigned immediately with no plan. With no plan. I did not know what I was going to do or what was going to happen. With no plan. My manager actually refused to take the resignation. And she told me, take a week home and think about it. Right?
Wow.
So I got the week. I took the week home, thought about it, went back out to work and didn't even last a full day. Lunchtime, I was like, yeah, this is what I want. I make up my mind. This is what I want. I had enough of this, I'm ready for something new. I was fed up of somebody telling me, this is your hour for lunch, right? This is the time you have to clock in. This is it. You have to clock out. Like, if you don't clock in, what? That means I wasn't in work? If I forget to clock in, I was just fed up of the system itself. It was so limiting. And then for years, it's like, there was no growth. There was growth personally, but within the organization, there wasn't making room for staff to grow.
Yeah.
And when I look out at my line managers, and I remember asking my line manager one day, how long you working here? And when she told me 12 years in the same position,
wow,
I feel like I started to see my future, and I was like, no, not me. I just wanted more. So I feel like that was really the breaking point for me when I was like, listen, if I have to, starve for a little bit, then so be it. But this is not it. I don't know if it was the right decision then, but now, no regrets.
Was your decision then? It was your decision. You can't go back and think twice about those decisions. That in the past, all these things in the past led to the success you are now. So you can't regret anything. But my question to you is, personal branding. Your personal branding. How did you design that? I mean, if you look at your profile picture, it's a certain kind of, let's say, dress code, makeup well done, hair well done, look in a certain way. So, what made you decide, well, this is how I am going to create the image for my brand, how I'm going to position myself out there? What went into that thinking?
Well, Kendell could attest. I was always a stylist.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, can't style a stylist.
Yeah, can't style a stylist. That was always my thing. I always like to match, to look well. As life evolved and your brand evolved, certain things will change. So 10 years ago, I would wear different heels every weekend. You would never see me in the same heels, right? And now I can't even wear something that's 2 inches because I feel like if I might fall over. Sneakers is definitely a big part of my personal brand now. But I decided to become very intentional because there's a difference with character and reputation, right? And I believe in strong character. So I decided to become very intentional with how I present myself to the world because I know that will play a big factor in how I am perceived, right? Because it's not only what we know we could do, is what people see too. Remember, people watching on, and they would make their own assumptions. And if we do not create a persona or perception for ourselves, then they will create one for us, you know. And
Yes,
we
they
might not
will.
like it too much. So I became really intentional with creating that for myself. You'd say plenty makeup, but I feel that's probably filter because, yeah, I do kind of bare minimum because I think that when people see me, especially now, I want them to know that it's a more relaxed, yet we get the job done style and brand. Like we're serious over here without doing all the extra things. You know, we
Right.
don't need the BMW, we don't need the flashy things, but we're serious about it. I also think that how you dress plays a major part in your personal brand because people will align that with you all the time. So every time people see suits, they send it to me all the time. I don't have to look for suits on my own. People like send me, this is you. I see you here, you know, because
Right.
I've intentionally set this in their mind.
Right.
That was not by mistake. I've intentionally set that in their mind because that is the look I want for myself. I want to look casual, minimal, but yet still know that I handle business. And I feel like a suit says that. And then when you put sneakers, then you make it a little bit casual, right? Something else that was very important to me is changing the narrative a little bit of what a professional woman is supposed to look like. Like that was very important to me because when I just started, everybody was like, you know, you have to wear these dresses all the time and heels and stockings, and that's when people will take you serious. And I was like, no, I know people who dress like that and they cannot execute like I do.
Oh, okay. Talk the things.
Do you understand? I know people who wear full suits and briefcases and they're empty.
Oh boy. Socrates, boy. Sounding like Socrates out there. Looking for that wisdom in suits, but they can't find the suits at all.
Yeah. So I always tell people like, look beyond that. This is somebody's persona, right? People will dress and they will create whatever persona and appearance that they want, but it's much deeper than that. Much deeper than that.
I used to have a coach, football coach, who used to say, if you can't play good, at least look good. So,
They look good for the cameras.
yeah, you come out with the best boots, that boots shining, telling you, you're the best of everything, you're looking good.
But I just want to touch on something that Avalon mentioned there. And you mentioned it earlier as well. You see, personal branding, you have to make sure and really shape 4 things. You know, is the narrative accurate out there? Is the narrative coherent? Is the narrative compelling? And is the narrative differentiated? But that first one, we mentioned it a couple of times already for the night. Is it accurate? People will create their own perspective and create their own brand for you. So I love how the conversation going already. We covered a lot of material.
You must be authentic, and I think that's exactly what Avalon is saying as well.
Yes.
You want to represent who you are and your value system. So you know what? If deep down inside, you are not the makeup type person that heavy on the makeup, but yet you think that the industry that you're going into, you know, branding, marketing, this sort of thing, that comes with it. Should you adhere to the industry norm, or should you stick to your values?
Differentiation is the answer to it. You can't look like everybody, you know, or else they won't remember you. You won't stick out. So, and not just the look, but your offer, how you personalize it, you know, your interaction, your style. As Avalon said, not just copy and paste the ChatGPT, but personalize it, you know. That is the differentiation. That is the ability to differentiate and, you know, just get premium value. You know, so I love it.
Avo, I see like you wanted to say something there.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to chime in there because I was like, just today, remember I told you all I was at a conference, right? And I did not wear sneakers and pants today. And from the time the first person saw me, they was like, what is going on? Where's your ones, you know? Where's the guns?
Yeah.
I was like, I just feel to switch it up today. And they're like, why? You know, like, why? Like, it was almost as if they find I make them uncomfortable because they so accustomed to me appearing a certain way, you know? And that's when I know I was like, all right, Avalon. You're on it.
But that means you have a strong brand.
Strong brand.
Yeah.
A very strong brand. People
brand.
expect certain things when they see you.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
Before we take the break, I just wanted to find out from you. We're talking about these branding issues and sort of things, especially from a personal side. In terms of digital and traditional media and the platforms, and you know, we spoke briefly about influencers before. What is your take in terms of personal branding and choosing a platform or put yourself out there? So, for example, we know I wouldn't list all of them. We know all the social media sites. But in terms of your personal brand and aligning it, now I know your brand and what you're doing and how you would like that online may fit better on one platform from somebody else's, let's say a musical artist or performer. What are your thoughts on that?
So I like to always tell people that you have to really think about your goals, right? Because every platform will help you accomplish some goal. All the platforms would not help you accomplish the same goal. And I think that's where we kind of get confused sometimes. And also, we're not meant to show up on every platform.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn might work for me. It might not work for you. It might work for you and it might not work for me. You know, maybe what I need to share is something more visual and Instagram is the best platform. Maybe short form content that is, you know, a little witty is what aligns with your brand more. So then TikTok is your space. So we really have to find which platform is best for you. But what I always tell people is even if you decide to show up on all the platforms there are out there, let it be you. You have to be the same across all platforms. I can't come on LinkedIn and, you know, it's all the insightful things. And then when I go on TikTok, you're a comedian. And then when I go on Instagram now, right, you're a swimsuit model.
Right.
I'm confused.
Which brand?
I'm confused. Yeah. Not to say that we can't be multifaceted, because I'm very multifaceted, but I'm saying if I watch all platforms and your profile on all platforms, I need to know it's the same person with the same goal, sharing the same message. One thing I always tell people, like, keep your photo consistent so that people know this is you. Because in today's age, anybody could copy your profile. So let's know this is you, right? Your messaging. You must have a key messaging that you want to share. And you share this across all platforms, especially if you're trying to build a business or sell something. There must be a key messaging. So like I really struggled with LinkedIn. I think I still do. I'm actually now trying this post for 90 days thing, and it is a struggle. I do not think that LinkedIn is my space to show up on, but I'm trying it. I am kind of enjoying it. I do think it's more for like professionals. However, it's changing my mind a little bit because I also see a lot of creative persons starting to show up on the platform. But I think what made it really different for me is what I just mentioned, right? I decided to be myself across all platforms and not really conform to what people say you have to be or how you have to show up. Because, you know, in the earlys with LinkedIn, everybody was telling you, well, no, this is how you have to be. You have to, women have to have this profile picture with the hand under the chin. You know, it has to be very serious, you know, and it's about, hey, I just got this certificate. I just got this award. Like, it's just praises every day. And I decided I wanted to be different. Like, I'm just going to share things that happen to me or motivation or whatever, because it shouldn't always be about work or
Nah.
praises, right? I think that is much more than that, or even business is much more than that. So I'd say keep consistent across all platforms, but figure out which platforms work for you, your brand, your business, because you also don't want to get burnt out trying to keep up with all these social media platforms.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Must say, I love it. And you heard it there, folks. Your brand voice, your brand message. You know, if you want to get down into the theory of branding, Stuart, consistency of that across platforms.
Yeah, the multiple personalities, the brand schizophrenia. Yeah, as she said, you know, I think you're a serious academic intellectual on LinkedIn, and then I see you in the steam room on Instagram. You know, it's conflict. It will conflict a client, it will conflict a customer, it will conflict the audience, and you will lose out. So, you know, you can't be everything for everyone. Know your niche, know how you're trying to position yourself, and just stick with that. Consistency is key. I mean, yes, you might have to, you know, adjust a little bit because, let's say, you know, LinkedIn is a little bit more serious generally than the others. You know, I guess your content could be similar, but just a little more, how to say, a little bit of humor,
Relaxed,
a little bit of, not as serious on the other platforms. But still, you still want to have the same message going out there, just, I guess, in different language, you know? That might be a different language. So, yeah, I love everything I hear so far. Brilliant stuff.
And we will be right back. We take a short commercial break. Anthony's Carry Jazz. Experience the magic of Anthony's Carry Jazz series at Kaiso Blues Cafe. Join us on Thursday, July 4th for the 5th installment featuring the incredible Daniel Ryan Quintet. It's a night of electrifying live music that you won't want to miss. Mark your calendars and bring your friends for an unforgettable evening. Follow Anthony's Carry Jazz on social media for more details and updates. See you there. And we're back on the Big Potato Podcast, having a riveting discussion. Such key insights tonight with Avalon Gomez. We're talking branding, personal branding more so, and how you guys need to look at your personal brand in order for others to see your personal brand the way that you want it. Now, Avalon, you mentioned empower, and you briefly talked about why you would have gotten that started. So now we want to get some more details there, because this is part of your, I'm assuming as well, in terms of your other business being Avelle. You also seem to have a niche that you look at. So is it that both businesses, or I should say your business and then this is Empower an NGO, or is it something that facilitates Avelle? Is it something separate? Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so Empower TT is my NGO. So that is separate from Avelle. Avelle is a brand marketing agency, and Empower is an NGO where we focus on entrepreneurship and female entrepreneurship, right? This year we're also kind of going to navigate and try to focus on youth entrepreneurship, because from my work with like the 40 under 40, I've noticed that a lot of youths in schools right now, they're interested in becoming entrepreneurs, but there's no guidance there, because all we keep pushing down their throat is maths, English, science, social studies, you know, go to school, complete these subjects, go to college, etc. And then they have to wait until they're 25 to learn like basics of building a business, when now they're already selling stuff or they already have a skill, you know. So Empower was really founded to help persons navigate that process and really build on their entrepreneurial spirit. And Avelle is the branding agency.
Fantastic. Now, in terms of 40 under 40. Tell us about your experience with that, because we understand 2023 and 2024, we're seeing you out there as being one of the 40 under 40 entrepreneurs / influencers. So tell us a bit about the program for those who may not know about it and your experience so far.
Of course. So the Ministry of Youth and National Service, they recently changed to Youth and National Service. There was Youth and Community Development before. So the Ministry of Youth and National Service created this initiative called 40 under 40, where they select 40 nationals, right, to kind of be ambassadors or influencers of the youth. And they go to different schools. So it's in a collaboration with the Ministry of Education, and they select particular schools. And we go to the schools to mentor the kids, give them some guidance, talk to them. We spend half day with them. Most of these schools are the schools that persons or the principals will deem trouble schools. And those are the schools we visit. It's for us to mentor the kids, but sometimes we end up learning so much from these kids. Because I tell you, like, we label kids as troublemakers and things like that. But some of these troublemakers so brilliant. And they have so much potential. But we would never know because we never give them the chance to speak up. And that is the platform that the 40 under 40 actually gave them. Because yes, they're there to listen to us and get guidance from us, but they also have the opportunity to speak up and talk about their experiences and their issues right now, what they want to accomplish, where do they see themselves, you know?
Great stuff. But let me switch back into the personal branding. All right. This cancel culture, people might get some negative reviews on the internet, and something from the past may just pop up and there's a big hoorah. You know, how can someone really overcome those negative perceptions or even the online criticism?
So I want to take that in two parts, Stuart, because I'm a firm believer that personal branding is a way of controlling the narrative, right? You get to kind of control and mold how you are perceived, right? So what that aids in also is, even if somebody tries to create a false narrative about you, people like, nah, we know who she is or we know who is, because remember, you would have spent time intentionally building this persona, and they're the persons who would say no and, you know, ignore that totally. Now, there are always persons who will run with negative news. That is the world we live in. But I think once you really intentionally create, right, a positive persona or that is authentic and true, then you could combat false news easily, right? And when you can't, I always tell people, like, that's something we can't get away from, right? Like, people would say things, you do good, they will talk about it. You do bad, they will talk about it. And if we really stop to address every dog that bark when we're walking down the street, then we would never reach our destination. So the way I would say to combat it is to ignore and stay focused on your mission. Because if we stop to respond to them, guess what they'll do? They'll respond again, right? And you catch yourself now in this back and forth for days, weeks, months. And if nobody is saying something to your face, then it shouldn't affect you. If they're not calling your name again, it shouldn't affect you. If it didn't burn your skin, then it shouldn't affect you, right? You have to work hard on creating that brand and that persona that will combat that negative news. Now, there might be times we may be caught in something that was unintentional. We might just share our point of view on something and we might end up in cancel culture. Right. There's also nothing wrong with apologizing. There's also nothing wrong with apologizing and saying, okay, maybe I was misinformed, you know, my perception could have been wrong. I didn't get the full story. And you could apologize. Create something to combat that narrative. But I would never feed into negative energy and things like that. I mean, we all were there. They tried to cancel me, but they just didn't know. They didn't know that I was a seed. They just didn't know.
So do you think there's any way let's use P. Diddy as the example.
Oh boy, you read my
gosh.
mind, boy.
I read your
Oh
mind.
Lord.
Right. So
Oh,
is there any
Lord.
way he could redeem his brand? So it's not a situation where it's false news, right? It's where you're fully on blast. Videos popping up, everybody spilling the beans. Is there any way? I mean, I guess time heals everything, right? But what could you suggest if he was your client? What would you advise him?
So if he was my client, then it would not have reached this far. And here's why. Remember we spoke about being authentic, and it have to be true.
Mhm.
Nobody's saying you can't live a private life. Now, what you do in your private time is your private time, right? However, you see, when you make things public, make sure that it is true, because people do not forget. You see, people on Mark Internet, they do not forget, and nothing is lost. So there was a time when he came out and he said that he will be vindicated because all of this is just false news and
Mhm.
everybody lying on him, right? That is what made it much worse. Because when he said that, I am all set to believe him.
But then the receipts started to come out.
And then the receipts, and I'm like, you know what? Who's his team? Because they were supposed to tell him, keep quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Keep quiet, deal with that privately. He hasn't even apologized to the person in question.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's also very important. So I do not think he's been advised correctly. Could his brand be redeemed? I really don't think so. It
Not
would
at
take
this point.
time. Time doesn't sell all, but it will take a lot of time. And I think because the persona he created, everybody realized it was a big lie.
Yeah.
And this is the CEO of Avelle Brand Management Company. So PDD and all the other artists, entertainers out there, when you hear that, make sure you give her a call. You spitting facts here. And I mean, I want to stick right there too, because you see people have their personal assistant. Let's just go through the list. They have a PR team.
All the handlers.
You have a manager. Yeah, you might have a publicist. You have a whole team around you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you still can't get it right. And it goes back, I think, in my opinion, to you not being authentic or not being aligned to who you are and the brand that you're trying to put out there. So you might be trying to sing the most gangster songs and have the most gangster videos. And that time, really and truly, you're like me, you're a little mommy's boy.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are you attracting and what energy are you putting out there is really what you have to look at. Now, Avalon, networking, and personal branding. I don't even need to ask a question there. Just tell us a little bit about that in terms of building your network, using your network, and your personal brand in terms of that cross-section. How has it worked for you, and how do you perceive it in general for the entrepreneurs coming up?
Yeah, and networking is a key factor in building your personal brand and your business overall, right? Because in every space or everywhere you go, you never know who's next to you. You never know who's in the room. It could be an ex-business partner. It could be an ex-client, next customer. So I always tell people like the importance of networking. But I think where the lack mindset comes in, or the fear, is that people don't know what to do to network, right? And I always say like, you must know. And that's where the elevator pitch of personal branding comes in. In 30 seconds, you must be able to introduce yourself. Mm-hmm. You must be able to introduce yourself to catch somebody's attention, right? Another thing I tell people is when you're going to an event, especially if it's a networking event, a conference, a empowerment event, don't carry your friend, because you're going to talk to your friend all day and not speak to anybody else. And it's always good to go alone and meet new people, introduce yourself to new people, right? Years ago, I went to a conference, I went alone, and I met somebody now who is labeled my business bestie. Like, she would be my point of contact for everything. We would introduce each other to different people, right? I do it now with my assistant. I carry my assistant everywhere and I introduce her to everybody because I tell her the importance. I said, I don't see Avelle as your end goal. And I don't know if anybody here in this room could be a part of your end goal. So I need to introduce you to people. You need to meet new people. You need to let people know what you do, what you're passionate about, because that is very important in building yourself. Networking is the biggest thing that has helped me build my brand, because everywhere I go, I'm not afraid to say, hi, I'm Avalon. You know, hi, I'm Avalon Gomez. And now, most times when I say that, people are like, oh yes, Avalon Gomez, right? I know you. That came from constant brand building and constant networking. Back then we had call cards. So I'll always say, everywhere you go, drop your call card, right? But now we're walking call cards.
That's so true.
We're a walking business card. Yeah. We're a walking business card everywhere I go. And that's why keeping your profiles consistent too. And how you look. Because people can't come on social media and see you looking one way and they will pass you straight in real if you don't look the same, right?
True.
So you see how the consistency, the authenticity, everything, it's playing over and over in every aspect of just building your personal brand.
Correct.
Well said. I mean, that networking definitely would have led, I'm assuming, to your link up with Nadia Batson and working with her. And we want to hear some more about that right after we take this short break. From Ibadan to Helyard, from slavery to independence, learn how Helyard, the Trinidad All-Stars, created the Trini identity and how that was leveraged for our independence. Get your copy on Amazon now. So Avalon Gomez, she's here, and we're having a great conversation tonight on the Big Potato Podcast. Stuart and yours truly, Kendell. And we want to talk about Nadia Batson, now Avalon. One of your clients, one of your business partners, I should say, I guess. How did that link up happen? We were talking about networking before. Is that as a result of networking? And how has it been going?
That was more a result of building a strong personal brand and actually doing good work than networking. Because her head manager, her lead manager, would have been in the entertainment industry for a while, around events and also like radio stations, etc. And so when they were looking for somebody to, assist with really propelling the brand, my name came up to me and he said, hey, we never really added persons to the team before, but we're looking now to add persons to the team, and we understand the importance of building a team, and we think that you will be the perfect person. We've been observing you for a while, we know you've been in the industry for a while, so we really think that you'll be the right person. And that is a testament of building a strong personal brand, because I was still fresh. The agency was not even a year old. So that was literally my personal brand from throwing events.
Yeah.
So I was
and
like,
the success of that.
Like, building yourself and your name could really stand for something, because working for somebody like Nadia Batson would have been a goal in my 5-year plan, never in my year plan. But it happened, and look, 7 years later, we're still here.
Still going strong. And how has that propelled and opened doors for even more clients? Because obviously, as you said, your personal brand is what would have gotten you that opportunity in the first place. And you would have increased your personal branding and your experience and your expertise since then. To the point where I see you working with the UAE, the US Embassy. So how has it transitioned and really helped you to grow?
I think the best thing about when you actually get an opportunity, or the best thing you could do when you actually get an opportunity or presented with an opportunity, is do your best. Always put your best foot forward. And that has been something that I live by, because I always want people to be able to say, yes, she could get the job done. I want people to recommend me all the time. And I think that is why I've been able to kind of work with so many different persons. One, they see the results of work I've done before, and then there are always people out there recommended me because they know the kind of work I do. So sometimes, I was telling somebody this week, I said, like, something I really want to start doing for myself and my business is creating proposals and sending out pitches. Because in the last, 6 years, 7 years, I never did that. Every client was from referral, or every client was because they see my social media presence, you know? They
Right.
like how I talk, they see my work, etc., and they want to work. Or another client recommended me. So I'm like, what if I just put in the extra effort to send out proposals? Then that would be something amazing, right?
Exactly.
Definitely.
So,
And I mean,
guys,
that shows a lot of growth as well. That in itself shows a lot of growth. And I believe the fact that you said you get the job done, that in itself is a part of your personal brand that people would not have an issue in referring you, and people would not have an issue in giving you an opportunity to work on a project, to do something with you, to collaborate with you, because they know in the ethos of Avalon Gomez, she is driven, she's ambitious, she wants to get the job done, she's results oriented. So folks, when you're building your personal brand, you need to live your personal brand. You need to be intentional about your personal brand. Stuart?
I agree. I agree with everything being said here. Everything. My question is, what sort of metrics do you use to measure success? How do you know your brand is building and going in the right direction? Aside from likes, engagement, I guess, as you mentioned just now, referrals will be one. But what are some of the other metrics you would use to gauge the growth or decline of your personal brand?
Yeah, so definitely likes, those things don't matter to me, right?
Exactly.
I don't watch likes too much, because I always say that I see people that I know for sure have 90,000 followers, but I know they don't have 90 clients.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So numbers and those kind of things, I don't pay attention to. For my social media, for me, it's more about being consistent, because I believe once we're consistent, then we'll stay in front of our audience, right? And the people that matter and the people that we really want to convert to, right? Because it's all about turning our followers into engaged fans and build a community so that they become customers.
Mm-hmm.
How I really that my personal brand is bringing in business is I check like how much was referrals. So I always ask persons like, how did you hear about me? So I want to see if it converted from social media platform, if it came from a referral, how did you find out about me? And I always also ask, like, why? Why do you want to work with me? Why do you want to work with me? So I measure like how persons come in and from what medium. And I mean, guys, how much money we make, right, is a direct conversion of the brand we build, right? Let's be real.
Right. Yeah.
Of course. You're in business to make money.
That's definitely a metric.
Yeah, definitely a key metric, right? So right now, that's the two that I use.
Nice. And let me ask another question, though.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the dangers of being overly tied to your brand,
The avatar.
the avatar that you create, all right, let me use some different examples. So, for instance, if you are a farmer, CEO in a farming industry, rural industry, generally your appearance will be different to if you are a CEO in a financial services company. People will obviously give it that perception. Sometimes they might think because of that image that it can't be anything better than that. We mentioned that earlier in the conversation. So how, I know it's difficult, but have you seen a lot of instances where people have been limited by their trying to, foster and live this brand?
Yeah. I think that outside of people limiting us, we also limit ourselves too. Because before we even go there in our mind, we're thinking that that's what people will think, right? When that don't necessarily have to be the case. So sometimes we form the limits in our mind first. But for persons, let's say, just as you said, it's a farmer, a CEO, and he's in the farming industry, right? So most of the times, his attire would be a little messy, a little more really casual, because he's in the field a lot. But when he's creating a presence online, it doesn't always have to be just him being shown in that light. He could decide on different tiers that he wants to show, different pillars of himself that he wants to show. And when he's showing that would allow other people to see him in a different light too, right? Because they wouldn't only see him as a farmer. So maybe if he's a farmer, he'll show us videos of, him in the field, him farming, he might milk cows, he might plant something. But then there would be instances where he'll show up and actually teach us the business side of it. Because even if you're a farmer, you're running a farm, that's a business.
Yes, it is.
So I'm sure you have to follow certain business ethics just like any other business, right? And if he now show up online and start to show us this also, then we wouldn't just see him as a regular old farmer. I don't think we would. I think we will start to see him as somebody who is a business owner and somebody we could actually respect.
Right.
Yes, not just the farmer side. We could even use influencers, right?
Right.
You could be a fashion influencer, but that does not have to be the depth of who you are. You could be a fashion influencer who could teach other people how to open a store, or who could teach other persons how to sell their clothing, not just by using it, modeling it, and being an influencer, but you could know the back end of how to set up a store and how to sell, and you also share that online. So your followers and other people get to see your depth.
Yeah. You're almost an industry expert.
Yeah, you have
an
to.
authority.
It's all about really sharing your insights all the time to make people know that you are an expert in your field. It doesn't matter what the field is. It could be farming. It could be making juice at home. All these things require a process. People want to know this process. Tell them the process. They will respect the process and they will respect you because they will get to understand how much work really go into this. You're not just a regular farmer.
And that's the beauty of the Big Potato podcast, Stuart. We are revealing the behind the scenes.
Yeah, the how-to.
The how-tos. Avalon, before we wrap up, is there anybody that you look at, you look up to, you really respect in terms of personal branding? We could look at people for different ways. For different things, we admire how they dress, how they talk, the work they do, etc. But in terms of specifically personal branding, is there anybody that you think is doing it really well? Any people that you look at in a revered light?
Yes, so definitely. From the time I hear the words personal branding, if I do not think about myself, I think about Jared Best Mitchell. Like there's nobody else that comes top of mind when I think about personal branding. Like I cannot see anything, even a light shade of yellow, without thinking about Jared. And I think that's the power of
the yellow man.
Yeah.
He really built a brand that surpasses him or anything that he says or talks about.
And that's a fantastic example. And thank you for bringing that one up. For somebody who is interested after hearing this episode in starting to develop and craft their own personal brand, where would you suggest they get started?
I would say you have to do some deep introspection first, right? Really figure out who you are. What are your values? Because if we don't know who we are or what we stand for, we will get lost out there trying to build a brand or trying to build anything. So really start with figuring out who you are and what you want to share with the world and how you want to share it. And then you start with all the fancy things, that what type of content you will share, how you want to dress, finding your personal style. But if we don't start with the core values of who we are, what we stand for, then all the other things would get lost. Because things like being results oriented, things like being an organized person, that's your core values that you just align with any brand that you're a part of. So I would always say really start with who you are, what you stand for, what are your core values. Figure out who you want to serve and how you want to serve them.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I really have nothing to add. It's some great conversation. What I want to just mention though, although just I don't have anything to add, is the fact that when you go to the networking events, you need to know what the focus you're trying to push really is. So like for instance, myself, I do a couple of projects well, but not every networking event I will mention the same thing first. If I go into a writing event, I will mention I'm an author. If I go into a business consultancy, networking event, I will speak to that side. So as Avalon said, you have a very, very short length of time for your elevator pitch. So the main thing is know the audience you're trying to target and shape that message as concise as possible. You don't have to tell them your whole life story. And that is very important in building a brand too, because you might be telling them irrelevant information. You really want to latch onto them things the hooks. You're trying to find hooks for each networking event. What is your hook for the night? What's your theme for the night? So I just wanted to add that. I have really nothing else to say.
Fantastic. Now, Avalon, I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight, for giving us some minutes of your time tonight and really having a great discussion with us. One thing that I had here before we go, because it's a conversation about business and entrepreneurship as well, and we really wanted to touch on personal branding because we've spoken about a lot of other business stuff and we haven't spoken about branding, especially personal branding. But how do you, with a branding agency, manage clients' expectations and their experiences? Because a client is going to come to you, Avalon, we need this, we need that, they have the whole picture painted in their mind, including the result, the outcome, and what is going to happen next week. How do you step in and really help them manage those expectations?
I was horrible at that in the beginning, right? Which caused a lot of burnout. No, we could be real on the Big Potato podcast, right?
All the time.
We want the authenticity. We want the real conversations.
All the time.
I was horrible at that when I just started out because, I want to please everybody because I don't want anybody to ever say that I did not get the job done. So if somebody said, listen, in 2 weeks, I need a pink donkey and the pink donkey needs to run across the savannah, I finding this pink donkey or I finding a blue donkey and painting it pink and it running across the savannah, right? And then I realized that this is in no way practical for long term, right? And it's definitely breaking all business boundaries, just finding everything people ask for, right? So I had to really stand on business, as we say now, and put some boundaries. So now when people come to me with their whole list of all the fruitful things that they want, I always try to bring the facts to just let them know the possibilities of possibly not happening or happening. But I would always say in business, what is important is we can't just tell somebody it can't happen. You have to have your facts to align. Why it can't happen, right? So when I'm managing expectations, I come with facts. Like, this can't happen, but it might not be able to be accomplished in this time frame. And then I come with a solution. How about if we do this? So I now give you like, okay, maybe this, might be a little bit overzealous, but I have another solution. I could try it this way. But I think really being straightforward and honest with your clients and having that kind of open conversation and relationship works. Because if we become yes men in business, then we put ourselves in trouble. Because out, and then when we do not get the result or we do not deliver, we get a bad name and we get a bad review. But if we're honest, that's a great way to start managing a client's expectation, right? Another thing I want to touch on with that, Kendell and Stuart, is like time management in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for entrepreneurs, I feel like people don't believe that we should have working hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I do. And even when some clients try to message at 4 a.m. or on Sunday at 11 p.m. and I don't reply, and then they get upset and try to say, well, this is bad service, I always remind them of the system and the process, because when you first signed up, this was told to you. Also, every time I send an email, it's there.
Right.
That's another way of managing expectations. You have to be upfront with a lot of information.
Yeah.
Because during the process, you can't just spring it on your client, because they wouldn't be accustomed and it will rub them the wrong way. So I'm very upfront with a lot of information. I'm also very honest, and I don't just come with negatives unless I have a solution or a way to pivot. I don't just come and say we can't do that or I don't want to do that. I must have, a why.
Mm-hmm.
All aspects of her personal brand, Stuart, coming to the fore, extending into her services, into her business. Entrepreneurs out there, take note.
Yeah, and I know I said I wasn't going to mention anything again for the rest of the night. I know I said I was done. But let's see, I went to an event at the Central Bank the other day. It was an author village, a Caribbean author village. Yeah, a young writer. And I was very impressed with the event. Mr. Daniel Francis. Not too sure if you're familiar with him, Avalon. Why are you laughing?
You try alley-oop there, boy.
Daniel is actually one of my long-standing client, friend. We tag team on a lot of projects. Avelle would have actually done the marketing for that conference. 3 months prior to the conference, we've done the execution along with Daniel's company too. The whole author village, everything. I was running Daniel's social media platform for 3 months leading up to the conference. So everything persons were seeing coming out was actually Avelle.
Right. I just had to mention it was a nice event, man. It was a good vibe.
Very nice. I must say, like I told him,
it was nice, really nice.
I've been a part of a lot of things, but I think I would put his author conference really top of the list. Only because he knew the vision that he had, and it was executed to excellence. Like Daniel is brilliant. He's somebody I enjoy working with over and over again, because he is really brilliant and he's really focused on what he's trying to do, And I think it was very impactful. Very, very impactful.
It was a great turnout. I just had to give you kudos for that. It was a great event, a great mission, great turnout, as I said, great networking. So keep up the good job. You and Daniel.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You was there? Give flowers.
Of course, I am all over the place. I'm like a chameleon. Just blending in everywhere. Believe that. I was there.
Nice, man. That's nice.
Yeah, so we give flowers. We give flowers around there. So kudos to you, Avalon. Kudos to Avelle. And I mean, as we wrap up tonight, any final words you would like to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
Yeah, something very short, because I think that something that really deters entrepreneurs is fear, right?
Mhm.
And because they fear failing. But when we fear failing, then we just don't execute because we don't want to fail, right? But we're not saving ourselves from failure, you know. All we're doing is delaying the failure. So please hurry up and start. Please hurry up and get it done so that you could fail, learn the lesson, and move on, right? I like to tell people, fail forward. You fail, no problem. What did you learn? Try again. Get back up. You don't always need to change your destination. Maybe you just need to change the route that you take to the destination. And that's all I'll say.
Well said, well said. Lose the fear. Not just the fear of failure, but the fear of the imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm faking it. Forget all those fears. Those are obstacles, hurdles. Just stop in your tracks. Throw that to the side and jump forward.
Keep pressing, keep pushing. Thank you so much, Avalon Gomez, CEO of Avelle Brand Management Company and Empower. Ladies and gents, link up. Check out our company. Make sure and support. You heard it all here. Genuine, authentic conversation. Definitely representing our personal brand. Thank you so much, Avalon, for being here tonight.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was really a nice conversation. I think that we touched on a lot of things that persons need to hear and a lot of things that people struggle with too, but they might not say that they struggle with.
I agree.
So I really
it was
enjoyed
a very informative conversation. Very, very informative.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And on that note, folks, that's how we wrap it up for tonight. Another episode of the Big Potato Podcast.
Is this the last one?
Is it the last one?
Might be the last one. I don't know. I think this might be the last episode.
You're saying that we save a real good one for last, boy?
The best for last. What?
Well, I mean,
the last of what, Kendell? The last of what?
The last of season 1.
Season 1. Don't worry, we're coming back.
And you never know. Seeing that we worked with Avalon for this episode, you never know what might happen in season 2. Stay tuned.
Thanks again, Avalon.
Of course, thank you. I might be a co-host in season 2.
Hey, I ain't say nothing yet.
Things on the way, man. Things on the way.
Entrepreneurship, it's all game. The Big Potato Podcast is yours to claim. From startups to scaling up, we cover it all. So don't mess up. Monday nights, don't miss the show with Kendell and Stuart. Your time to grow, listen up. Take notes and learn. The Big Potato Podcast, next gen's turn.